It's the time for the package from China. Let's go! Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in because in this video we are going to take a close look at the Chuwi. And Chuwi did make a lot of interesting mini PCs, but this particular one was quite expensive and this is just worth your money. Powerful yet small, and yeah, I must say that they are true about that, but it's not like the tiny one that we have reviewed before. This is for size and quite big one when it comes to the Chuwi line. I think Chuwi is a company that does give out a lot of new cool products, and I have no idea how to open this bloody box. Let's see if I can do it out of. It's stuck! It's stuck! Yep, it worked. But let's take a close look at the specifications. So this is an Intel Core i5 8th generation, or better said the 8259U. So the U are like the low power chips. So it comes with the Iris Plus Graphics 655. It does have Wi-Fi. So this one did have a lot of cool features, nothing much on the box to say about it. But when you're looking at the specs and you're paying around more than $300 freaking for it, when I understand of, yeah, is it something worth picking up? Like I already mentioned, Chuwi does deliver a lot of nice quality products in my opinion. But it's of course very expensive, because with quality there comes with a price. So when you're looking at the system itself, you can see when holding it, it's not the most tiniest system ever. But another thing I really like about it is the design. So to begin with, the design is very basic and simplistic. But then we have these very nice, very thick, rubbery, let's say, grips that you have at the bottom that you can put it on your desk. Another thing I personally really like, if you want to use it also in, let's say, your typical say desktop, pretty damn cool is with this mini PC to have a lot of USB ports. At least we're going to get 4 3.0 at the back. We've got audio out, display out, HDMI out, RJ45, and then we're going to get the input. So at the front, the only thing what I think is a little bit of a bummer, there are no front USBs. I think it's very convenient, especially if you want to start some emulation on this. And of course we do get an on-off switch. So when you're looking at that, it's we do got some options, but it is very limited somehow. Inside the box we're going to get more stuff. For example, we do get some extra, let's say, explanation about the product. So the core box that this thing is called, you can see we do get a lot of, let's say, extra paperwork, manuals that explains how everything works. We do get the power supply in here, and that's it. That's the only thing. But here, let's talk about the specifications. Like I love to say, the wicked nerdy time. So this Chuwi box is, by the way, the 8th generation. I noticed they are selling different generations, take that one into consideration. This thing goes in 3.8 GHz turbo mode, comes with 16 GB DDR4 that runs on 2400 MHz, has a storage capacity of 256 GB, but you can extend it, and comes with an Iris Plus 655 GPU from Intel on board. Okay, so next up, let's sell our soul to Skynet, and when we have set this up, let's take a close look at some games in particular. Okay, so Windows have been set up, finally installed the games, so let's take a close look at some basic games like indie games, some more high demanding games. Let's just see how far we can push the 655 GPU from Intel. Is the thing any good for gaming in Windows? Okay, so the first thing that we're going to play is Cuphead, a really cool indie game, but it is still quite demanding. So I'm noticing the loading times, everything works very well, and I'm very pleased with the result. So let's do a quick gameplay and let's see how it reacts to the CPU, GPU, and how will the FPS be. So let's try the Street of Rage 4 briefly, just to see how this will work. Cuphead had a good performance, dipped here and there, but in general it was a very nice gameplay. Full 60 FPS most of the time when playing some bosses. How will it be with Street of Rage? Okay, so when we're going to try some Street Fighter 5 or V, how do you want to call it, I'm noticing the game runs really slow. And this is pushing the 655 GPU on board to the limit. So when it comes to this Basically, GPU is fun for two-dimensional game. When you're going to get in three-dimensional, it's not doing very well when it comes to the performance.
Hadouken! Hadouken! That's what he's in food! Hadouken! Shoryuken!
Alright, so let's talk about Batocera, because that's what we're going to use. And the reason why I think Batocera is just a great way to play when it comes to retro gaming. Because you don't need the Windows mumbo jumbo, it's just like a plug and play solution that you can make. You can use yourself an SSD, you can use yourself different ways. I think SSD is one of the most expensive but still like a very great way to go, because it's a very stable piece of technology. Of course you can use a platter disk, those things are pretty damn awesome, but they're way cheaper. And yeah, they will consume a little bit more power depending how you want to assemble this, so take consideration sometimes when using an external enclosure, it can give some problems. Then we're going to get ourselves the thumb drive. The thumb drive, I don't like those options most of the time because, like, don't get me wrong, they are like super easy, plug and play, but these tiny ones get quite hot, so I recommend like getting a big one that has some cooling or such kind of. Okay, and then we're going to get the 3.5-inch platter disc, but yeah, that's a different story. And the reason why, because not all of the devices will have the option to use this. So if you want to use this, you need to use an external enclosure, but it's going to get more of a cable nightmare. But also nowadays we're going to get like very cool enclosure for the 2.5-inch, so you can use basically like enclosures and use the thing through the USB. I mostly do this because it's super easy plug and play, but internally we're going to get a little bit more speeds. Then we're going to get these awesome kits that they're selling. So basically what they're selling, like having a hard drive enclosure, and hard drive, and then it comes complete with controllers. Sometimes like the fake wireless controllers, they are not the best, but yeah, they are pretty damn awesome. So the kits come even with a manual, so explaining you how to add games to the hard drive. So it's an all-in-one fun package. But that's one of the options you can basically go through. And yeah, comes with controllers, so you don't need to search for them. You can also get yourself like an Xbox 360 controller or something else. There are many ways to play with the Batocera image. The enclosures are just okay quality, the plastic cheap ones. So that's basically what they are doing over there. Okay, so what is Batocera? So Batocera is a piece of software that is based on Linux, and we can play a lot of video games with. They are like pre-installed with emulators, and they're still updating this piece of software. If you have an x86 or an x64 PC, you can just plug in this hard disk or hard drive that you made and play some games. Depending on how much power you have, depends on what we can play. And that's what we're going to test out today. We're going to get this i5 8th generation and yeah, just see how far we can push this beast. Can we play a lot of old school games, or can we also play some modern games? That's what we're going to find out, because this thing supports up to PlayStation 3. Yeah, I know, it's pretty damn wicked. The first test is Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat 1, 2 and 3 are quite demanding when it comes to MAME. This game runs pretty damn awesome, and I must say, like, it is not a problem with PCs, especially when you're having an i5 inside. So when it comes to cheap boxes and MAME, there we're going to get some limitations with Tech and Tag, but this i5 has no problem whatsoever running this game. Pandora's boxes, Raspberry Pi 4, there are many ways to play, but Killer Instinct is one of those games that will not run on many of these devices. I know, like with the Raspberry Pi you can overclock it, a lot of mumbo jumbo for getting this thing to work, but with a PC like this it works without a hassle. So N64 will always be a mixed bag, and the reason is because of the emulator and the complexity about it. But with more power we can play games like Cruising USA that will stutter on every single board PC I've tested. And with a mini PC like this we can finally play Cruising USA and many other ones. And a great example is of course F-Zero-X, one of my favorite games I still play on my original N64, and it runs flawlessly with this i5. So that's pretty damn awesome if you ask me. So also the really demanding games will have no problem with N64 in combination with an i5 8th generation. So when it comes to the Lark box and other devices that are basically low power CPUs, like they will run a lot of old stuff, but when it comes to GameCube, there we're going to get a lot of issues. But this racing game is quite a nice benchmark for this. And yep, the i5 have no problem running GameCube. The Sega Saturn isn't really demanding emulator. The Yabasin Zero is amazing, only you need to have a lot of power to run games. And yeah, this game in particular, the three-dimensional games, has a lot of problems, like again, like single board PCs or Android boxes, you name it. But with this i5, we can play this game without any problems. So Wipeout is not the most demanding game, but it is a quite demanding game between like Tekken and God of War, and it runs flawlessly, so I will not even be afraid to scale it up a little bit. But God of War, for example, will run just fine on i5 8th generation CPUs. So PlayStation 2 is another emulator that is super demanding, and I must say that it also runs very good on this machine. I noticed like when you're having these cheap boxes, it always have like pushes to do the limit, but this time finally we can play some PlayStation 2 on this machine. So despite some minor glitches and errors, I just wanted to show you that the more demanding games will run just fine when it comes to the FPS. So when it comes to this CPU, I think it's pretty damn awesome to see that we can play PlayStation 2, but take consideration Wii, Wii U, PlayStation 3 is just out of the question. We need some more juice for that. Alright, so let's take a close look at the inside. What are we going to get? So what I find quite interesting is this metal plate, because this metal plate basically does anything. But how do I mean doesn't do anything? It's quite simple. This is only giving the device some weight. Yeah, that is quite stupid. So this is just a metal plate with Chuwi on it and a sticker of i5. And this gives the weight. There's nothing for cooling whatsoever. So the only thing for opening it up, you need to have the bottom plate. And this thing is fully made of plastic. Comes with 2 rubber feet for putting this thing on place. So it's kind of weird construction if you ask me. I think like this thing was already quite weight, and if they didn't even attach this metal plate, it's going to be even more of a plastic fantastic. Okay, so let's turn this thing around, and here you can see like it has the bracket for the other hard drive. So that's the reason why we got an extra cable. But let's take a close look in the inside. I think it's a quite interesting concept that they made over here. So this thing is made of plastic, almost fully made of plastic. So when it's sent on your disk like that, it sucks in the air or the fresh air and push it through the cooling element. Here you can see like the heat pipes go to there. So the construction is not bad at all. We're going to get a replaceable SSD if you want to, or an M2 disk. But so far I can see there is no way of upgrading the RAM whatsoever. So you're stuck with a 16 GB. That is something I just wanted to see. There are 2 connections for hard drive, by the way. Okay. But I think the biggest problem with this is like the price. If you can pay it for 200, maybe it's going to be quite interesting. But you're paying like over $300 freaking dollars for this thing. And that's a lot of money, especially when you're looking at the chipset. Maybe in the future you will get like say better specifications for the same money. But I got this model. Let me know in the comments what you think of this. I want to thank you for watching. Consider subscribing, hit that little bell. And it will be great to see you in the next video.